sated puppies who'd just had their bellies scratched for half an hour. Lying a few inches away from him, so their limbs couldn't touch and stick, Jody let out an irrepressible sigh of pleasure. Immediately she wanted to take it back, suck the breath right back into her lungs, because God knew she couldn't let the universe be hearing any of that. No peak not followed by a fall. The sound of a vehicle turning onto her street made her turn her face toward the windows, alert to the possibility of unpleasant surprise. "Did you hear that, Red?" "What?" "Shh." The sound of the single vehicle turned into the sound of a second truck and then another, which multiplied her alertness exponentially. Jody pressed her elbows into the bottom sheet and raised her head and shoulders to get a better listen. Traffic might not have been worth noticing in a place like Kansas City, 350 miles to the east, or in Denver, 250 miles to the west. But this was one of the quietest streets in a town so small she could hear people she knew start their cars in their garages on the other side of Main Street and know if they were late to work. Somebody just pulled up outside. Who? She threw him a look. Sometimes she wondered if Red was one post short of a fence. "What?" he repeated, half laughing. He was 13 years older than she, but sometimes Jody felt as if she were the more mature one. Abandoning him as he lay naked and limp on her bed, she peeled herself off her new white sheets. She slid down off the high old walnut bed, with its new pillows and mattress cover and its new mattress and box springs. Once her bare feet landed on the equally bare walnut floorboards that she had polished and buffed until they glowed in the sunshine, she bounded to the windows, much taller than her own 5 feet 4 inches, their panes shining and cleaned, their borders rimmed in polished walnut, to check what was up. A road crew? Unlikely, given that Rose barely had the budget to keep its half-dozen traffic lights changing colors. Jody peeked outside and got a shock that panicked her. "Oh my God! Red! Get up! Get dressed! You've got to leave now!" What she saw from 2 stories up was the unnerving sight of her 3 uncles parking their pickup trucks in front of her parents' house, when she hadn't even known that 2 of the uncles were in town. She still called it her parents' house, even though Hugh J. and Lori Jo Linder had been gone almost all of her life. It was still their home to their only child, the descendant of a famous, violent knight 23 years earlier. And it was still their home to everybody else in Henderson County, which was named for Jody's great-great-grandfather on her father's mother's side of the family. "What is this fearsome thing I see?" she whispered at the high windows, mimicking Shakespeare. Her master's degree in English literature was a happy achievement, which, upon attainment, she had automatically shaded with doubts that she could ever find a job for teaching it. "Who is it? Your other boyfriend?" Red's tone was joking, with an insecure edge to it. "I don't have another one. I don't even have one." That was blunt enough to be mean, and she immediately regretted it. "What am I?" Red asked quietly. "Convenient" was the adjective that popped into Jody's head, but which she didn't say aloud. He was that, along with being the only available male for miles around who wasn't a child or a grandfather, or a relative. She glanced back at her current lover, not boyfriend, at his wiry cowboy self sprawled across her sheets. Her fingers knew that his long frame was checkered and slashed with scars, bruises, odd bumps where bones had healed awkwardly, and fresh little wounds. Red wasn't the most careful of cowboys. He tended to get bucked, bounced, and rode over more than your average rodeo rider, and he wasn't even one of those anymore. He was just an ordinary ranch hand. Maybe that's why she liked him, she sometimes thought, because that's all and everything Red was. Just a cowboy, with no pretense of anything else, or more. It was also true that other men's bodies, the bodies of accountants, for instance, or lawyers, not that she'd ever been with such and really knew, were boring to her compared to the interesting terrain of cowboy skin. "Well?" he challenged her. She gave him an exasperated look, because the question irritated her and she couldn't think of any answer that was true without also...
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.